Hello, everyone. We are here with Brenda. This time we don't have to wait for connecting from across. But anyway, thanks for joining us. I see we are just still alone, but we are going to go ahead and get started because we have a lot to cover. Hope you all enjoyed your holiday yesterday, your day off. And hope we inspired you to think about the plight of women in the workplace, because it just feels a bit awkward to be saying happy Workers Day when we know that many women are still unsafe at work, and many women still face sexual harassment at work. And just this year alone, I think we've had enough examples. From whether it's SIU to UNISA and Gugu's situation, and now, and the political parties, let's not forget, was all of those happened in the context of work. So we are still finding ourselves in a situation, in an environment where we are grateful to, for the labor rights that we've actually accomplished, but for women, it almost feels like we were not there in that fight because the workplace has not really made us whole.
It hasn't. It hasn't. So, as these days are observed, the questions still come up on what these labor laws have accomplished over the years, right? A good legal regime with the Labor Relations Act, the Basic Conditions of Employment Act, all the other relevant legislation, but the situation of women at the workplace is still unchanged, right? And why is that the case, right? And we should diagnose why women still feel unsafe in the workplace.
So it's not also an issue of safety alone, right? It's also the fact that we are doing equal work for pay that's still unequal.
Absolutely, right? So number of things. I mean, I remember the discussions 25 years ago when we were looking at policies to put in place to advance gender equality and equity. And one of the policy proposals put forward at the time was around daycare for women at the workplace, right? And it was frowned upon because people didn't believe that an employer should make provision for daycare in their workplace. And till today, if we were to do a study of how many companies provide daycare and offer daycare, I think you're going to be very shocked. Because I don't think a lot of companies do make that.
And it's probably also because men don't think these are their children.
Exactly.
Because I'm not understanding why don't men want that.
Hey, it's not that. It's not their responsibility. You're the woman, you're the wife. You can stay at home and look after the child.
Or you can go to work and equal pay and come home and take care of the kids and cook and clean and do the other unpaid labor.
Right?
Wow.
And interestingly enough, it's the matrimonial regime. I mean, there's a test case in this country, Krissinger versus Krissinger, where, in this country, before we had the new matrimonial changes, you either married in community of property or out of community of property. But for Black people, it was automatic that you are out of community. They never believed that we can be in community of property. Now, in this case, it was a white couple. They were married out of community of property, and the woman had spent a good 30 years of her life with this man and walking away with nothing.
Wow.
Right? And she took the case on to get half of this man's, and for the court to recognize that being at home, that was labor, and there's value to it. Right? And she won. Right?
Wow. So, and we need more of such test cases, because I think we keep hearing how South Africa has really good laws, beautiful policies, but we are seeing with the cases of whether it's the NC or the NLs that the implementation and even the enforcement, like how much enforcement can we expect from the Department of Labor to make sure that companies that are registered actually have, for example, sexual harassment policies.
Yeah. So
and follow procedures.
Yeah. So labor is failing us in this respect, that they have an obligation to ensure the implementations of the laws that they're responsible for, right? So if you demand from a company to provide you with the skills plan, for instance, if you demand from a company to give you their equity plan, right? Why are you not out there to check on their,
to make sure that
when they send you those plans, that they are real, right? It's not that it's a tick box because it's a compliance issue. You make it your business. They had inspectors. You remember we used to have inspectors.
Yes.
Yeah. And these inspectors are supposed to be going from company to company
and making sure
exactly. Right.
Yeah. So now it's woman, you're on your own.
Yeah.
Basically. So wow, that's really quite unfortunate, I think, because we are seeing, especially now that we are seeing more and more such cases. I think there's a case to be made for the Department of Labor to step in. I think we've had enough instances to be able to, what can be done from an activist point of view, and also just from people at work.
From the activist point of view, is that we as the feminists at work and through Whites Collective is to put pressure on the Department of Labor to do what it's supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
Because at the moment, people have become very complacent, right? With not doing the work that is required, right? So pressure must be put to bear on Department of Labor, or even private sector itself, to ensure that compliance is there all the time, right? But there has to be pressure put to bear, and we need to continue to do that. So.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you. I look at some of these cases for me that have come up recently, and they really go to this notion that we have policies, but nobody's really caring enough about them. It's almost as if the holiday, getting the day off, has pacified us as workers. But come on, Brenda, women are members of the union.
Yes.
What are the unions doing and saying? What, have we seen union leadership? Well, apart from the fact that they've got their own sexual harassment challenges. But could this potentially be something that we approach the unions to say, you are failing your membership?
Yeah, because what unions have done is to really not focus on, and this argument has been made many times, that the unions have veered off from the original mandate, right, of fighting for workers' rights.
For workers.
Where are those workers' rights, right? The workers' rights can't be just fighting for an increase of wages and salaries, right, without looking at the gender discrimination.
And an unequal wage as well,
that is there, because why you're fighting as a collective, whether you are Nehawu or Satawu or you are Sabtu, you're fighting for collective bargaining for salary increase, but you have never asked your question, why is it that I'm in the same position with this woman, I'm getting paid more than her, right? When are you taking up the fight? Should it be taken by women workers who are in the union separately from what the union is fighting for the collective, right?
Well, in which case then women must have their own union.
Exactly.
I mean, they pay the same dues, correct?
And the dues are the same, but they have not, I don't think women have seen the benefits of being in the trade union movement, right? They've been carrying the load and they're adding the numbers, right? But that being part of a number has not yielded any positive outcome for them, and specifically as a gender. So it sounds like, apart from Department of Labor, there is a need for some advocacy that needs to happen also at the union, level, because women tend to still occupy the lower paying jobs.
And they really power up the unions a lot. Women's labor in the unions. I mean, you see it when they're protesting.
So if you look at the retail industry, for instance, retail is a majority Black women.
Yeah.
Retail industry. So if you look at Pick and Pay, ShopRite, Checkers, you look at Spar, you look at, it's majority women employed in there. But if you look at Sakau, who is leading Sakau, it's not women who are leading the union, right?
Yeah.
So they wait for the man of the union, the man of the house, to make the decision first, right? On their behalf, right? Yeah.
Wow. So I mean, and I know we've had like several cases. Do you think that embarrassing these companies publicly is probably the way to go?
Yes,
because it seems to me that they care more, especially in this digital age, they care more about their social media profiles and brand more so than they care about actually doing the right thing. And so mobilizing communities online and naming and shaming them, basically.
We should. I mean, I think the boldness of the work that we're doing has to continue. We have to continue to be bold, to be brave, agitate, and be on their faces, right? It's not, people will try and stop you from doing it, but I don't think we're going to be deterred by that. We're going to continue to push for the recognition of women in this country, and because we believe that they deserve it. Right?
And some of these companies, especially in the private sector, are publicly traded companies. So people, as women, are not just there as employees; they're also there as shareholders. Because I mean, we can't assume that it's only the men who buy shares in these companies. We are customers in these companies. We are shareholders, and perhaps looking also at how women begin to become a feature in those AGMs. Especially the publicly held companies.
You and I had that conversation, and I think we need to it has to stop being a conversation. It has to be now actioned. Right? And we need to be clear how many companies we are targeting for this year. I mean, most AGMs, will be taking place towards June, July. So we need to then decide of these companies which ones we are targeting. To go into an AGM, because I'm a shareholder, I've got one share. If it's one share, right? Your voice matter, right? With the same one that owns 1 million shares, because you are allowed to go into that shareholders meeting and ask the questions, right? And shareholder activism is required for change to happen.
No, that's true. And I think that a lot of them hide behind this whole being private companies. But private companies that are funded by shareholders investing in them. And I think that it's about tackling the problem at all ends as well now.
Absolutely. So we have to be conscious also where we invest our money now. Right? So when we as women, when we keep on saying we are 52% of the population we hold half the sky, we now need to look at the money side of it. Right?
Voting with our feet and our wallets.
Exactly. So we will not invest in you if we believe that you don't have a sexual harassment policy. So this is now our scorecard that we need to develop, right, for ourselves. That if you don't have a sexual harassment policy, you don't have a daycare center for
maternity leave policy implementation.
Your there's no flexi time for women who work for you. We are not going to, and we are not providing transport for the women
at night who are leaving Checkers at 9 p.m. We're talking about you.
So
Checkers.
If Woolworths closes at 8, and it does, right? Closes at 8 at night. What happens to all those female workers?
We need to provide.
So we're going to have to go to Woolworths and say, tell us the measures that you've put in place for the safety
their
of
safety.
Exactly.
Yes. No, definitely. Actually, we've had a case in Cape Town of Checkers workers having that challenge where they were actually attacked after work. And I think we've had a similar case as well at the Workers' Summit, where someone shared an experience of being attacked coming late from work. So Those are all just really important issues that we need to continue to press on, but not just pressing on from a talking point of view. Like you say, we need to begin to walk the talk.
Yeah.
And so please share with us in the comments. You are shareholders, your AGM schedules, but also I want to hear from women who are members of unions.
Yeah.
How are you holding your comrades, your fellow comrades? You're out helping them campaign, whatever now, but how are you holding your fellow comrades accountable for an agenda that advances women within that as well? And I think that's something that we really need to focus on.
I mean, the unions themselves have always been, because those who labored for a long time in time and memorial have always been men, right?
Yeah.
And when women came into the workplace, things were, I mean, if you look at mining, for instance, we wanted more women to be employed, but the change rooms and the mining companies never made provision for women, because they never thought that there would be women employees, right?
That's true.
So you need to start from scratch to build change rooms for women, because you never had, right? And so it goes on and on and on, because we're never catered for as women.
Yeah.
Now, meanwhile,
we keep telling girls to go into all these industries, including STEM and engineering and
telling women, the young women, the world is your oyster. You can be anything you want to be, but the world is not ready, and these companies are not ready for women to come in, right?
No.
So what do you do? A couple of things that we really must happen and must go in tandem with the strategies that we want to deploy to effect change, right? Is to get into these companies in the numbers that we need to be, so that we effect the changes, right? So we're not going to shy away from being in those companies, right? And force the change. So we're looking for heightened levels of consciousness from the women and the men who are supposed to lead these companies. Right? I mean, with these conversations can't happen amongst ourselves.
But I mean, so here's a challenge though. One of the things that I find is that sometimes we do get into these positions. And our people, sometimes we get into these positions, we're in the boardroom, we never speak. Or we are so happy to be there that we forget to leave the door open for others to come in. We get so caught up in the narrative of being the only, the first, the what have you. Or we are so apologetic or so grateful, rather, I think is the word. We are so grateful that the door was let open for us to be there, that we stay being grateful, and we are therefore not able to be effective.
But we need to change that, right? By calling out such behavior. Yes. So when we know that you're on the board of SAB, you're on the board of MTN, or board of Vodacom, or board of Anglo American, or board of Exaro, we're going to go after you and ask, when you were making the decision, what was the basis of you making that decision? Simple.
So holding everyone accountable, whether you are there,
and you can't give us the excuse that I didn't attend that board meeting, I don't know how the decision was made.
You're part of it. You own it. It's a collective decision. Well, hey Pinky, we see you.
Hi Pinky.
Sibs is here
and
also.
Sibs. Hi Sibs.
So, but anyway, okay. The background noise. Okay, great. Anyway, we will come back to this and read any comments, share. But we thought the cards that we sent out yesterday about our Unhappy Workers Day, hopefully sparked some thinking for you that yes, we are grateful for the holiday, but we are not going to stay at grateful for the holiday.
I'm not even grateful.
You're not even grateful.
Because
the workers did give us annual leave.
The workers gave us annual leave, but the most workers were at work. I mean, retail was open.
That's very true.
Businesses, exactly.
And the entrepreneurs were hustling, because if they don't hustle, they're not gonna eat. But
if you look at the world over, where Workers' Day celebrated, France, there was violence around it. Berlin, there was violence. Spain, there was violence, because the working class is feeling ostracized and squeezed because life is becoming too expensive.
Actually, there was a report about South Africa just a week ago that actually says that we are just really financially doing really worse off.
We're worse off. I mean, so
we've been in a while,
we're stretching the rent at the moment. Every cent that you get, you stretch it so that you can breathe and survive. Right?
No, definitely. So and we're not advocating for violence, but like I've said before, I think Martin Luther King said this, that riots are the language of the unheard, and it's a combination of the frustration from not being heard with some of the things we've been talking about. But I think that we now are finding ourselves, hence we're here, to look at different ways of getting around this. I mean, I remember when I was just starting my career, there used to be this publication, it's a women's magazine that used to come out and would rank the top 100 companies for women to work for. And I mean, and it literally was, and it became like a scorecard where companies were competing to be featured in this top 100, and I almost feel like we've kind of gotten to the point where companies don't even feel the need to quote women anymore. And we need to get back to that, not because we think they should hire women, but because it's our constitutional right. We live in this country as well. But we need an opportunity to build with this country too.
But because also women are competent and can do the job. Right? So and I mean, I think
and sometimes better.
I mean, there's a study that was done, and I think you and I spoke about it, where men are now, because of sexual harassment and the issues that we are bringing out into the open, is that they're not sure whether to hire women or not.
Oh, yes, right? Oh, the male tears, the big man tears.
Yes. And
it's like, I don't know whether to hug you anymore.
I don't know whether to hug you. And at that time, very well when the hug is meant to make you uncomfortable, right? But you want to hide
because the intention knows too.
Exactly. So we're not going to listen to that nonsense, right? No. You know when your behavior is unwanted.
Actually, that kind of talk is the very type of microaggression that is problematic in places of work. Because you create that environment where women now have to feel like they can't fully own the space and participate in the space as well. So great. Wonderful. Well, this was really okay. We have a thing. I am struggling to view online discussion. Who is this? I can't even see the name.
Philly.
Oh, Philly. Oh, okay. Hey Philly. She's actually in my inbox. Internet down. Oh yeah, we need to fix that, eh?
Where?
She's in Cape Town.
Oh, so
this internet being down thing. But and the data costs, I mean, I know we get a lot of that, because it's also about competitiveness for us as a country as well.
Maybe we should ask the question: when is the best time to have this talk, right? Where so that
I'll do a poll. I'm gonna post a poll on the Wise Collective page for people to tell us the best times for them to connect. We expect you to use your internet at work.
Yes,
this is actually part of
benefit.
This is professional development, and the employer should really care about you being part of these conversations, because you can help improve their workplace as well.
True.
So yes, please feel free to tell us when you are at work so you can be able to tune in, and when you are at the internet cafes that have or restaurants that have free Wi-Fi. But yes, certainly I'll put a poll up, and then we can all participate in that, so we can figure out the best times.
And also the second thing is for them to indicate which companies have got a history of sexual harassment, so that then they can target those companies, and they can
the big offenders. So that would be great. Well, thank you, everyone. We are going to give you a chance to view the video. We'll repost it, but we are going to give you a chance to view the video so that we can answer any questions you might have. So feel free to continue to engage on the comment sections below.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We out. That's it. Thank you, ladies.